Hi everyone, Zoe here from Make It Crafty. I've been promising to make this video for a little while, so I thought I'd better hurry up and do it. Today I'm going to give you some tips on light source. Now I am going to say right now that I don't have any qualifications. I really don't know what I'm talking about other than my own muck around and playing and things that I've tried to find on YouTube and places like that. So I'm just going to be waffling on. Okay, so this is, I don't actually know what this particular Tilda is called. She comes from the new Spring 2011 Stamp Club kit. I thought that what I've actually done is to start off with, this isn't going to be the finished image. I've just stamped her out onto some scrap paper. And the idea is I've just quickly drawn where I want my light source to come from, and I'm doing it from the top left. And this is when I first started trying to work out how to do light source. I would stamp out the image a couple of times and do some little tests just with a grey marker or a pencil. It doesn't matter what you use, and try and guess where you think that the shading is going to be, because once you start adding color, it seems to be harder to try and think of blending and what color, blending your colors together and then trying to keep your light source and all those types of things all at once. So if you've got something that you can refer to, then as you're coloring, I find it's a bit easier, especially on a new image, or if you're just practicing or just learning this to bring your light sources together and whatnot. So the first thing that I look at, because I'm going to have my light source coming from this direction here, obviously this side of her is all going to be light and the top of the lamb is going to be light, but obviously under here you're going to have shading. So just put that in there. It doesn't have to be great, it's just for you to refer to later. And then under here there's going to be some shading. And all these little areas here are obviously going to be darker. And then obviously over here, you're going to have a definite shading. Now the thing to remember, however, is that you don't want all of this side to be completely dark. Because although you're going to have your light source coming from here, whatever is over here, that light source is going to bounce back. It won't be as intense as this side, but it will bounce back. So it's not going to be completely dark on this side. So you would probably have your shading, your darkest areas here on her hand, but you're going to have a bit of a light source over here because as I was saying, it would bounce back from whatever the surface is here, which means that it allows you to actually add some depth and highlights and whatnot in her hair here, because obviously the light is going to be reflecting and shining through her hair. However, if you go into this here, there's not going to be much of a light source bouncing back because you've got an arm covering whatever light source would be here. So this would definitely have some darker shading. And then in her leg here, you'd probably add your shading in this section here. However, under here, you've got this leg that's going to be stopping the light source from bouncing back this way, so you would have that darker. I hope I'm making some sort of sense here. And this is only from stuff that I've watched other people talk about, so just keep that in mind, that these are just things that I look at when I'm mucking around. The other thing I wanted to talk about today was blending gradients, and that is just really, it's just about blending your colors smoothly so that you can't see the lines in between the shades as you change them. So I'll do a little bit about that as well, and I'm actually gonna, I gave everyone on Make It Colourful last week a personal challenge of colouring a rainbow. So I thought that it wouldn't be fair for me to give everyone else the challenge and not take on the challenge myself. So I'm going to see if I can do that as well. Okay, I'll be back shortly with the image that I've got ready and show you colouring the light source from this direction using this image as our reference, as well as colouring a rainbow. This is the image that we're going to colour today. I won't be colouring all of it. I'm only going to colour some of Tilda and the rainbow. I'm just going to start by putting down my EOO. I'm using a new, been experimenting with some new skin colours actually. This is E21, so I've gone from EOO to E21. I'm finding it gives it a little bit more of a yellow look without being too yellow, but it's still, because I bring back in the E11, you get your pink and yellow sort of mix, and I quite like it. So if you wanted to have a play, you could play with that. E21. I haven't coloured this image before, so I'm not quite sure how I want a face to look, or how I'm going to try and get the dimension. So now you're watching me try and figure that out as I colour. Okay, so for her arm, I'm just going to bring in the E21 and go into that area where we blocked out on our sample. And then again with E11 just on this side over here. And then a little bit in this corner. And then come back with my EOO. Blend that in. And I always like to come back with my medium colour, because I find that the EOO can take out too much colour, and I flick into it just to bring that colour back. But by flicking, I'm not creating any lines. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my B95, which is not quite my lightest, but it's not my darkest either. And this is where we decided that our shadow was going to be. So I'm just going to block that out in the colour first. So I'm going to bring in my B97 and I'm going to start going over the top. So the idea is to keep your colouring smooth, you need to quickly change between the different shades of that colour that you're going to be using. You might have to go backwards and forth and add your little flicks in to bring your colour back, but as long as it's all flicks, you'll find that it should go quite smooth. And as you can see, I am still working towards that being my light source. So her knee is going to be the lightest part, and that's why it's the last thing that I finished. So again here, not much of this is going to have light hitting it. So I'm going to start with my B95. I'm going to have this as my dark area here, over here. I'm going to allow some light to bounce off here so that I can still create some sort of depth, otherwise it would all be dark. I'm going to do the rainbow next. So what I found out, I did a very quick practice just so I could pick out my colours. Found that it's easier if you start with red and go through to your orange and yellow, then your green, your blue, and then purple. Because red is just such a bold colour. So now there's only five lines in this particular rainbow, so I'm gonna not actually follow the lines and just create my gradient over the top. And it's actually, I'm very impressed with the people that took on this challenge, because I think it's actually a little bit difficult. So let's see how I go on camera, hey? All right, so I've got the R24, and I'm just going to start. I'm going to start on the thicker end because it's easier. I'm just going to start with a line of red. And then I'm going to bring in my orange whilst that's still wet. And I'm going over the top of the red whilst I colour with my orange. And I'm using YR04 for my orange. So now I'm trying to lift some of that red and blend the orange into the red. Okay, that looks pretty good. So now I'm going to come in with yellow, and I've chosen Y13. It's a lemony yellow. And so I'm just going to do my line next to the orange. And then I'm going to start lifting some of the orange so that we can get it to blend and start creating our gradient effect. Okay. So now I'm going to come in with my green, and I've chosen G05. So I'm doing this just close to the yellow, maybe a little bit over. But what I found is obviously it's too dark to go from try and blend the green over the yellow. So I come back to the yellow and go back over the green to try and lift some of that and blend it together. And so that I don't lose too much of the green, I've come back in with a lighter green, which is YG41. And it's just a light green so that I can get some of that gradient between the yellow, which is such a bright colour, and the green. Okay. Now I'm going to come in with blue, and I've chosen B24. And I'm just going to come in and purposely not quite gone over the green yet, because I'm going to come back with that green and go over the blue. Very, very light. And then I've come in with B000, just a very light blue, so that I can blend those colours together. Make them bleed into each other. And I might just bring a little bit more green back so that I don't lose too much of it. Very light flicks. And now I'm going to bring in my purple. And I've chosen BV13. And I'm just going to come back with my blue again, which is B24, and go over the blue and the edge of that purple. And so there we go. That is how I would do my gradient rainbow. I'll see if I can zoom in so that you can see the finish of that. Hopefully that's okay. It's hard with those lines there, really, but it does look not too bad. So hopefully this hasn't been too boring and you've picked up a few tips. If you have any ideas of the type of videos that you would like me to make, let me know so that I can start putting a list together of some things that I should concentrate on for you guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.